I don't know what to say. Have you ever tried to say something and the words just don't come out of your mouth? So, as it turns out, I'm a lesbian. I'm 27 years old. I always knew that I like girls, but we live in such a heteronormative society, like especially back in the 90s and before that. So as a little girl, I very much considered myself like a princess, and princesses always marry a prince, or at least a handsome, charming guy with a good skill set. I don't know. That's how it always works out in all fairy tales, in all Disney movies, in like everything that I grew up with. I wanted the best life for myself. I wanted the life of a princess. So even though I resented the idea of having to be with a man, I still felt obligated to do it. I genuinely did not believe that a fairy tale ending could happen for two girls. And I think that was a lot of internalized misogyny and internalized homophobia, none of which was like on the surface for me. Like, of course, I was always like, I love women and I identified as a pansexual. But like when I was growing up, people would ask me, like in college, a big question that people would ask is, how many people have you slept with? I guess that this is on me for asking this question, but I would ask, well, boys or girls? And they would say, boys, duh, girls don't count. And like, I always wondered, like, as a child, like what lesbian sex even was. In my mind, if there was no penis, there was no sex. And that's some homophobia for you. I've also been in relationships with men who did not believe that it was cheating if I was with a woman, but they would 1,000% believe it was cheating if I were to even message a guy suggestively. But I can have full-on sex with a woman and it means nothing to them. So yeah, I only dated men. I went on one date with one girl and it still has, Oh, she held my hand the whole date. It was amazing. And I've never had anything like that with any of the guys I've been with. I always blamed the lack of romance and passion on whoever I was with, even though like I dated a Scorpio, a Sagittarius, and a Gemini. Like there was passion. There was passion, but not for me. I tried to force it. I was miserable. I tried so hard. Genuinely miserable. And logically in my brain, I was like, this is all I want. I just want to have a husband. But at the same time, my brain was like, no, you don't. And I was like, shut up. Lots of suppression, I also genuinely thought that I was somehow a horrible sexist human if I wasn't attracted to everyone. Genuinely thought that I was this horrible sexist person. Like I literally thought I wasn't allowed to dislike a gender because if I did, it would be rude. What? So after I broke up with my last boyfriend, I was so depressed and confused because by the end of that relationship, I had no attraction to men and I was actually starting to get repulsed by men and like getting mad at men and like taking it out on men, the fact that I hated them. And I was so confused by these strong feelings and I was like, what's going on? And I realized this isn't a phase because it went on from the summer of last year until like March of this year. I was just angry at men and I hated men and I thought that I was asexual. I was also in a car accident in the beginning of the year. Well, I was hit by a car. That affected my sex drive as well, obviously. I think, a big traumatic event generally affects somebody's sex drive. So I took a while after that to just let myself heal. And then once I started to feel better from the accident, I actually started getting a sex drive again, what do you know? But I still didn't like men. And it still didn't click in my brain that I might be gay. I have no idea how I didn't realize this. It took a while. It was probably sometime in April this year. That little tiny voice in the back of my head, call it your intuition, your conscience. She said, hey, what if you're a lesbian? And I shit you not, the voltage of electricity that I felt through my body was unlike anything I've ever felt. It felt terrifying. And at first I shoved it down and I was like, ignore it. No, you're not. Shut up. And I completely pushed it down and I was like, that's not it. I can't be lesbian. That's not my life plan. And it kind of brought to my attention, like, the fact that I panicked that much. I was like, wait a minute. What if I'm a lesbian? And I was like, oh my God, I think I'm a lesbian. And that makes so much sense. And I gave myself some time because we were in quarantine and I couldn't leave the house to even go look at girls. I've been watching The L Word. And the more I look into this, the more sure I am that I'm a lesbian. When I think about being with girls, I get like these butterflies. When I think about being with guys, it's just, there's nothing there. In my internalized homophobia, I never thought that I could have a fairy tale ending with a girl. And it was the realization that I could that made me able to come out and be my true self. I'm 27. I'm gonna be 28 this year. It's pretty exciting. I feel like my life is starting over. And I'm so excited about it. I'm planning to try and talk to some girls like on Tinder and stuff. If you know of any good lesbian dating apps, leave them in the comments down below. This is definitely not the last time I will be talking about this. I'm very open and I'd like to have more open discussions. It would mean the world to me if y'all could subscribe and leave a like down below, and I will see you soon.